Burry versus Elon Musk, because Elon Musk has been really big promoting cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. He came out and he said that Tesla was gonna buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin, and he said that Tesla was gonna accept Bitcoin as a payment, and as soon as he said that, Bitcoin prices started to skyrocket. And as soon as he did that, Michael Burry came out and he said that Bitcoin is one, quote, speculative bubble, and he says that a crash is coming. He says the reason why Bitcoin is a bubble is because, quote, Bitcoin's price has surged to unsustainable levels and buyers have taken on dangerous amounts of debt. The reason why he says it's a bubble is because he says a lot of people are buying Bitcoin hoping to get rich quick. And because they have this dream of just trying to get rich quick, they're buying Bitcoin not just with their own cash, but now they're leveraging up their trades and their investments. That way they can buy up a whole bunch of Bitcoin hoping they can make a quick buck. What he says is, quote, if you do not know how much leverage is involved in the run-up, you may not know enough to own it.
Here, thank you for inviting me.
So I want to dive right in. Why should people care about cryptocurrency now, and how is cryptocurrency going to change the world?
You don't start with a small question, do you?
No, we go right in.
Why should they care? This is the fastest level of adoption of any technology in all recorded history. I don't have any savings in a bank account right now. I mean, I'm 100% allocated to crypto. This interview, this is the single biggest opportunity any of us are ever going to be given. It's the most exciting space we've ever seen.
The Big Short investor Michael Burry has always been vocal about his disbelief in cryptocurrencies. Burry calls Bitcoin a bubble. According to him, while the attention received by Bitcoin is not unwarranted, it probably would not last long. He even compared his warning to the ones he had during the housing bubble. Burry deleted his Twitter account shortly after asking the Twitter community on Wednesday, how do you short a cryptocurrency? Do you have to secure a borrow? Is there a short rebate? Can the position be squeezed and called in? In such volatile situations, I tend to think it's best not to short, but I'm thinking out loud here. CEO and co-founder of Real Vision, Raoul Pal, however, makes it clear that Michael Burry is wrong about this. In this interview done by Jaspreet Singh with Raoul Pal, they discuss a difference between a crypto market and an equity market, and crypto's promising future. Watch till the end of the video to know why Raoul Pal thinks Burry is wrong, and where he thinks the crypto space is headed.
Burry has come out and said very openly that the mother of all crashes is coming. Cryptocurrency is going to crash, and if you don't understand the amount of leverage that's in cryptocurrency, then you don't understand cryptocurrency at all.
And he doesn't understand how leverage works in crypto versus traditional markets. So right now, the most leverage people have is their house. If your house starts falling in price below your mortgage, you have what's known as negative equity. And it becomes harder to pay back your mortgage. What do? Well, at some point, you might try and sell your house and you can't sell it, and you're then losing more money and you're locking in losses. Or let's say you're trading a futures contract, which is how the financial market gives leverage to people. Well, you have something called a margin call. So you put some money up, but then you lose that money, and they kind of wire you for a margin call that you have to then settle the next day. Now, if the market crashes, you're going to lose more than you put in, more than you could afford. You can entirely wipe yourself out. And that happens time and time and time again in the financial system. Why cryptocurrencies are different is they're 100% collateralized, which means that what you get in your leverage is an instant liquidation when you've got to the point that your collateral is worth zero. So it basically automatically takes you out of unlimited losses. So you can only lose what you put in. So that's really different. So yes, there's a lot of speculative leverage in, particularly in Asia, but it can be wiped out in 2 days, 3 days, all out. Because everyone takes their loss, they're all forced liquidations, the price collapses, and that's it. No systemic risk. Here, thank you for inviting me.
So I want to dive right in. Why should people care about cryptocurrency now? And how is cryptocurrency going to change the world?
You don't start with a small question, do you?
No, we go right in.
Why should they care? This is the fastest level of adoption of any technology in all recorded history. So the internet grew from 1990 to 2000 at 63% a year. In 1997, there was 150 million users of the internet. Currently, there's 150 million users of crypto, and the network is growing at 113% a year. So it's twice the speed of the internet. So what does that mean? This is the network of money, the network of value. Now, if you understand network businesses, you'll understand Facebook. So here's a giant network, 3.5 billion, where we got to use the network to connect with people, unless it was yesterday when the internet didn't work, when it all went down. But let's assume that it did work. You get to get the psychological benefit of likes and connecting with people, and they get to monetize you. So the value of the network accrues to the company and the shareholders. So the shareholders got rich, and our brains just rotted. That was the trade-off. But when you're talking about cryptocurrencies, it changes that network model to something where the network participants are also the owners of the network. So the network, let's say at the simplest level, is Bitcoin, and everybody who uses the Bitcoin network has to use Bitcoin, has to own Bitcoin. And so the more people that come on the network, the more the value of the network goes up. It's called Metcalfe's law. It's the value, the number of connections, plus the interconnectedness between all of the people on the network. So crypto supercharges this, which is why it's growing so fast. It's kind of built in human behavioral virality within it. So what does that mean, and why should people care? Well, we've already said it's the fastest adoption of any technology in all recorded history. If you'd have known about the internet in 1997 and had made the right bets, which was harder back then because it was multiple companies and not the underlying protocols. Here we get to bet on the protocol. It's going to be the largest distribution or redistribution of wealth in all history. So why do I say that? Well, we can just extrapolate the numbers. As networks grow, the rate of growth comes down a bit. So it's currently growing 113% a year. If it drops to 83% a year, then we get to 1 billion users from the 150 today by 2024. We get to 3.5 to 4 billion users by assuming the trend rate of growth then drops after 5 years to, let's say, 63%, which is the internet grew at. We get to 4 billion users by the end of the decade. So if this is a network of money, therefore the value of this network is going to utterly explode. So how do I put that in context? In context, it means that it's currently a $2 trillion market. Sounds big, right? But all the other asset classes, like equities and bonds and real estate, they're all 200 to 300 trillion. So if this is going to grow at the speed we think and get the adoption that it looks like it's getting, and that's provable maths, then the probability is that this gets to be worth 200 trillion at least.
So you think that Bitcoin, Ethereum, these have the opportunity or ability to 100x in the near future?
The entire space, not just one coin. Everything you touch, basically. Now, there's going to be winners and losers. So that's the financial incentive of why this matters. But it matters at a much deeper level, which is this is a redistribution of power within the financial world, where the individual doesn't need the middleman. So this is the transfer and storage, trusted storage of all digital assets, and eventually all assets go onto a blockchain.
Towards cryptocurrency, but what happens to institutions like the Federal Reserve Bank if people start to adopt cryptocurrency more? Because I have a feeling, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that they're not going to like it.
Correct. So what the Federal Reserve are doing is they're looking at the macro backdrop, which is the most indebted global economy in all of history. 400% of GDP in debt, of which the US is by far the largest. So you've got this situation where the world is in debt, the population is aging, you can't generate growth, and jobs are being competed for by robots, AI, globalization. So you've got this structurally very difficult world. How do you service the debt? And the answer has been to print more money. Now, printing money lowers the value of fiat currency. All the central banks are doing it at the same time. So it's not just the dollar or the yen, it's all of them. So that whole printing of money means if you make something overly abundant, it becomes worthless. Now, it's not saying fiat currency is worthless yet, but basically the central banks are increasing their balance sheet by about 13% a year since 2008. That means we're all getting poorer because wages don't go up, but assets do. And assets are future savings, a future expenditure. So you stick it into, let's say, a second property as an investment, and then you'll sell it in due course because you want to realise the money to be able to spend. That's all assets are. They're deferred consumption. But it means that we can buy less of those because they keep going up. They're going up because the value of the dollar is dropping, the denominator, not because the price is rising in terms driven necessarily entirely by demand. So we're all getting poorer, and this helps that. The central banks don't want it because they don't want the debt bubble to burst. So they want you to keep in the system, devalue your savings, devalue your working salaries to try and keep this system alive to protect the baby boomers who've basically got most of the debt and most of the issue. This interview, this is the single biggest opportunity any of us are ever going to be given. It's the most exciting space we've ever seen.
What do you think about what Raoul Pal had to say, especially when it comes to Michael Burry's comments on cryptocurrencies? Do you agree with Paul when he says, based on the numbers, the entire space can be worth $200 trillion one day? Let us know what you think in the comments below. That is it for our video for today. Do give this a like if you enjoyed watching the video, and do subscribe to the channel so we can always keep you updated on cryptocurrencies. Till the next video, this is Crypto Revolution.